Time for a totally inexpert guide to how I age leather items. This is how I do it. If you do it and you cock it up and the bit breaks, well, it's not my fault. You chose to copy someone off the internet, didn't you? All for you. Anyway, this is how I do it. First step, I'm cooking tea, so it's going to go in the oven for a bit. How long for? I don't know yet. Seems to vary. Let's just see. I'm going to try 20 minutes at first. Here we are after 25 minutes at 200 degrees C. You can see the difference in colour. Look at the original keeper there versus the colour the sling has become. Now what I did was, after I took it out of the oven this point, just kept running it through my fingers, wearing oven gloves obviously because it was bloody hot, and you're just trying to crunch the sling and just taking all of the original shape out of it, just making it so as it's basically just a limp piece of leather rather than anything that's got any shape to it, because of course over time it's not going to have set into shape. It's going to have gone limp, gone crooked, gone off to one side, and that's what you're trying to get. That's the effect. I'm actually going to put this back in the oven in a bit for a bit longer. And by the way, I made a joke earlier about putting it in with food. Don't do that. Don't put it in with your food, eh? Right, after that first 20 minutes in the oven, another 25 minutes. This is what it's come out like. Again, there's the keeper for reference. Now, what I was saying about when it comes out of the oven, this is the sort of thing that you're doing to it. You're really screwing it up. You're basically getting rid of all of the original shape and just turning it into a just shapeless piece of leather, twisted. If it starts to crack along this face, all the better. This is what you're trying to do, this is what you're trying to aim for. Like this. You may even see some parts of it almost like oil is coming out of it, and that's good. Now what I will say is, if you stick it in the oven, then make sure you've got the extractor going and the windows open, because there's a lot of smoke comes out. I can't guarantee that the product that you're going to be working on hasn't been treated with something toxic. Just keep that in mind. But yeah, here we go. This is pretty well perfect now. Going to attack the surface with some abrasives, give it some damage basically, make it look like it's seen a bit of life, and then this powder coating on here, get rid of that and blue it instead. So I'll take you along for the ride. I've taken the buckle there back to bare metal, got all the powder coating off. Use one of these. Yeah, go for it. On the keeper, what I've done is I've taken the knob, excuse my fingernail, that was an incident with a hammer, never mind. Taken the knob back to bare metal. Then also on the actual strap itself, sling itself, and also on the keeper, I've roughed up the edges, as you can see. I've done that using sandpaper, so that's quite a smooth sanding pad that was worn out. I think it's about 120. And then I've got this, I think it's a 40 or 80, one of the two. This pad, 80, there you, 80 or 60? 80, grip pad. Just go over the edges basically, just sand the edges. So basically just, I've said basically too many times, that's annoying. You're just trying to just age it, just trying to smooth off the edges. If you see what I mean, because that's been rubbing up against stuff, so the edges will be smoothed off. And then also you want to attack the actual retainer there. See how it's scratched, it's all the edges chewed up on it. Same up here with this bit of padding, for want of a better description, on there. You're all just trying to, just any neat new looking edges, scuff them. If you can sort of chip the thread a bit, make that look a bit worn as well. Maybe even try cutting one or two, but obviously don't lose the rigidity of the piece. That always works well. And the keeper, yeah, I mean, there's not a lot I can do. What I've done purposefully, I'm going to treat this one slightly differently to the rest of the sling to make it look like it's been replaced at some point in the past. Purely because, you know, I think that might add to the look. Haven't been able to get in underneath of the actual knob, for want of a better description there. I don't think that really matters, because you're not going to see that when it's on the sling. It's not like I'm selling this as a genuine sling. I really wish you hadn't started on something. Yeah, I'm in danger of getting a bit obsessed here. So what I've got now, I've got the buckle part of the sling, just the very face of it, soaking in salty water to try and get some corrosion on there before I then blue it. What, you say? Why are you corroding it before you blue it? Well then, so as the rust shows through the bluing and it looks old. Otherwise it'll just look like a brand new blued component. I haven't corroded the sides at the moment. I might, once it's sort of corroded that face a bit, I might flip it over and do the sides. I'm not quite decided yet. I'll let you know. You'll know when I'm doing the bluing. Well, it's been soaking overnight, and yeah, that's pretty rank. So yeah, it's rusting. Alright, well, leave it for a bit longer. Oh, this one really isn't behaving itself. So what I did, I left it in there for another hour, then I wiped the corrosion off, and well, this is what I've ended up with. It's not really what I was expecting. So what I've done is I've dunked it back in the salty water and then brought it out again, so as now the oxygen can get at it, but it's still wet, if you see what I mean. So I'm hoping that that'll accelerate the corrosion a bit, having the salty water sat on the metal, but yeah, it's out in the air now. Do you ever really wish you hadn't started on something? It's a pain in the ass. I don't know why I bothered. The problem is, I need this ready for Friday for an event, because at the moment the NV114 doesn't have a sling. By the way, YouTube, fitting a sling on a gun is not assembling a firearm, okay, so calm down. Oh, this took a bit longer than I was expecting, so soaked it overnight in that salty water, gave it a wipe off. This is what we've got here. So now I'm going to blue it. Now, yep, I know what you're saying, bluing straight over the top of rust. Yeah, but we're not going for minty mint look, we're going for decrepit old look, so it actually helps if the bluing starts to fail a bit and the rust starts to show through. There's the end result. I think that looks pretty good actually, quite happy with that. Yeah. Get the feeling the title of this video will be how many different surfaces will you see these items up against. So this time now we got cardboard, because we're about to use a chemical and I don't want to get it on the rug. Very tasteful rug. So this is the keeper. What I've done, I stripped off the powder coating on the ball and I've blued it, which has gone black. Could just be the lighting, but yeah, it's very black, that bluing, but never mind. Anyway, at least now it's a proper sort of metal treatment rather than paint powder coat, which just looked crap. Sorry whoever made this sling, and whoever it is that makes a sling that out there that have the black powder coating in place of bluing. It looks shit. So now I'm going to coat it with this stuff. I find that this stuff just gives an aged, sort of, not too dark, but a bit darker look to leather. So I'm going to give it a go, and you'll see what it looks like once I've done it. Well, there we have it. That's weird. It looks kind of reddy in this light on this phone, but no, it's definitely brown. You can see it kind of gives it an aged look, and it doesn't do a perfect coat, so it's got like the faded bit there from where the sling would have rubbed against it. It does do a good job. It's a very interesting product. Fascinating. And what I've done on the back, kind of made it almost look like it's oil that's soaked in. You see how it hasn't gone all the way across there. That's the sort of look I'm going for with it anyway. So yeah, let's see what it looks like when it's on the gun. Now, this is the current situation with the actual sling. That's what the back of it looks like. That's what the front looks like. So you can see it's aged. Buckle on it, buckle end. Yeah, see how the bluing's gone. That's just in a couple of hours. So yeah, that salt treatment first, it really helps. You see how it looks old, it looks corroded. That's why I do it. Well, this is now the sling and the keeper after a coat of neat's foot. You can see changed colour, and it gives it sort of like a patchy look that your vintage leather always has. Do you see what I mean? And then the keeper as well. Sorry, not the keeper, the buckle end. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I've sort of done more this end so as it kind of looks like oil from the actual gun has soaked off into this. I know it's a bit tenuous, but you know, you're trying to fake history, aren't you? That's always the way with these things. I do have one last trick up my sleeve that I'm going to go and do. Yep, you caught me. This is where I've been keeping it. Every bit of coal that Father Christmas has brought me for Christmas. Well, let's rub the sling and the keeper in that and see how they look. Yeah, it's another different surface. Here you go, this is it after the coal. So you just basically chuck it in the bag of coal, or, you know, coal pile, whatever, really. And then just sort of run it around in there so as it picks up some of the coal dust. Wipe it over with a cloth. I use the one that I'd use for the neat's foot treatment. And then just basically with your fingers, because your hands are going to get, yeah, there's going to be quite a bit of coal dust. Excuse the noise in the background, by the way, it's not me farting. That's I think next door are having new windows fitted. Either that or someone's breaking in. Either way, you know, ho hum, crack on. Yeah, so anyway, some of that coal dust, rub it into the stitching, because that really was pretty sort of in your face, that white stitching. Now it's faded away quite a bit. I say quite a, yeah, it's the best you can do, really, short of unpicking it and using a off-white thread or even black or something brown. Yeah, there we go. So, yeah, it looks a hell of a lot better than it did when I first got it, that's for sure, and I think it looks old. Okay, it doesn't look genuine World War II, but let's face it, it doesn't look brand new either, does it? Rusty, blued instead of powder coated. Here's the keeper. The keeper, I mean, that's really taken that coal dust on board. That's weird, really, how much that's done it more than the rest of it, but anyway. Let's fit it to the STG-44 and let's see what it looks like. Yeah, another change of surface. Here she is, all fitted up. Yeah. I think that looks alright. Yeah, I'm pretty damn happy with that. How this has turned out. Yeah. One thing I will say, you could have just made the sling a 1/4 inch wider back in the day. Be a damn sight comfier, because God, this digs into my shoulder. Anyway, I've no doubt someone's spat out their soup as they're watching this and said, "My, well, you wouldn't have worn that jacket with an MP44 at a year." Oh, come on, it's purely for visual effect. Cut me a break, eh? I mean, this is YouTube, you can't expect it to be right.